First and foremost, to everyone who watched the last anime video that I did, where I was talking about the worst anime that I've ever watched, thank you so much for the support and whatnot. I'm trying to like not be broken. I'm trying to get monetized and stuff. So for my content to reach other people, that's lit. I appreciate y'all for leaving comments, likes, all that. And if you watch that video, you could probably assume where this video is going. And I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm taking it somewhere else. Today, I'm going to give it a little deep dive in a different perspective on an age-old debate, an age-old running joke in the anime community, if you will, about Goku being a trash father. And ultimately, I'm here to tell you that Goku is not a bad dad, and the fact that Gohan is a trash son. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that, huh? So point number one for Goku being a good dad, I'm going to run through this really quickly. His love language is essentially fighting. You know, like he had Grandpa Gohan when he was coming up, and you know, he trained him. Then he had Master Roshi, and then he trained next to Krillin, who was his best friend. So fighting is all this man is really known. So if this nigga is like willing to fight with you and train with you and all that stuff, is more often than not because he fucks with you. So when Gohan was a little jit and stuff, and you know, he was bringing him out into the woods and whatnot, when he was like training and getting stronger and whatnot, I mean, that was just off the strength of, this is my son and I love this little nigga. Not to mention, when push came to shove and it was actually time to like train and shit, Goku actually trained him, not Piccolo. This nigga Piccolo literally threw Gohan at a mountain and said, well, if the nigga dies, he dies. And y'all are like, that's a real man. Point number three, the second Goku hit Namek, he saved his fucking son. What else do y'all want? Point number four, he cared about his son enough and thought so highly of him to the point where he knew when it was time for him to pass the torch and have somebody else be the strongest nigga protecting the earth and whatnot, he looked directly at him and over Vegeta, motherfucking Piccolo, and all these other niggas who be fighting and training and shit. And number five, and the last point, and the most blatantly obvious point, I don't know why niggas be saying Goku's a bad dad. He literally died for his son. Twice! He sacrificed himself when he was fighting Raditz to ensure the protection of his son, and he sacrificed himself when he was fighting Cell to ensure the growth of his son. Some good fucking parenting. And now my perspective on it all is maybe I'm getting misconstrued on things. Maybe I just need to rewatch the series and stuff. But I feel like the dynamic gets, you know, misconstrued by a lot of other people is because they're thinking Goku's a bad dad when in actuality Gohan's just a piece of shit. Point number one being, I feel like Gohan is very malleable to a fault. When it came time for Gohan to start training and, you know, getting stronger and shit, he's like, no, I don't want to fight. I want to be a scholar. But is that really even what he fucking wants? Or is that what his mother pounded into his head, even though his mom doesn't even know what being a scholar really means because she grew up in the fucking mountains? Gohan also claims that he hates fighting, which, I mean, is ultimately justified, and I will give him a point for there, because his fighting history is more experienced with like trauma and like his friends and family fucking dying in his face, unlike Goku, you know, who had, you know, that upbringing around fighting and it was more of a camaraderie type of deal. But then you hit this Cell Saga, then it kind of loses me, it kind of confuses me when he's like, oh, like Android 16 gave me this speech and now, you know, I'm gonna power up and I'm gonna go crazy. He didn't even fucking know Android 16. On top of the fact that it's Android 16, it's not even a person. It's literally a fucking robot head sitting on the ground talking to him like, protect the birds that I love to watch. And then like he gets his head smashed and all of a sudden Gohan's ready to go crazy. But the whole time when his actual like friends and like niggas that he fucked with and came up with and shit, they were like getting their ass thrashed by little mini-me's of Cell. He's like, he's doing that shit that they always do in fucking Dragon Ball episodes where he like sits in the back. He's no. And ultimately, because of that, I feel like his development has its faults because he's always getting thrown into trauma's way, and sometimes it's kind of calculated by his own dad, crazy enough. But I feel like because of that, he also doesn't really meet like a full self-actualization within his own character. You're aware of this amazing potential you have to be like super strong and, you know, like fight all the bad niggas in the world. And you hate seeing all of your friends and family die in front of you. But when it comes down to it, niggas gotta force you to train. Nigga, go outside. And this shit hits like this weird, crazy turn. At least it's weird and crazy to me when he finally fights Cell and he reaches this new peak and he's like the strongest nigga in the show all of a sudden. Gohan, timid little schoolboy, incel nigga, all of a sudden, now that he's strong, turns into a fucking douche. And they're like, Gohan, you finally got it. You're the strong nigga now. You're him. You can go ahead and kill this nigga and everybody's gonna be saved. And he's like, nah, I want this nigga to suffer. So he's doing all this rah-rah hoop-ha shit trying to fight this nigga, and then eventually Cell like gets stronger than he was before, stronger than Gohan essentially, and then he's like, oh shit, now my arm doesn't work. So ultimately, to conclude the fight, he gets bailed out by his dad again, and he learns from his mistakes and faces the repercussions of all that. I lied. No, the fuck he doesn't. Because literally, in the next arc, he does the same shit. To put it into simple terms for niggas who are like lost and like don't really watch Dragon Ball Z or anime that much in general, this nigga basically goes to heaven, you know what I'm saying, trains with one of the gods and gets like super strong, comes back down and is ready to fight, you know, this big pink piece of shit that's like killing everybody. And once again, this nigga gets cocky as hell and he's like, I want this nigga to suffer. Then he gets fucking absorbed. So once again, he virtually dooms Earth, the planet that he lives on, because he didn't want to put in the work to begin with to keep it protected. And once again, Daddy comes in and fucking bails him out and ultimately wins the fight. I feel like Gohan never finds himself and he never fully faces the repercussions of all of his stupid ass actions. And the only time that he really does is in the future, even though Trunks goes back in the past and like makes that not even happen. So I know you see the title and you're like, wow, that's a really bold claim to say that about Gohan. And I mean, ultimately, I'm fabricating once again. The real worst character in anime is Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. But I'll save that for another video. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys. All that good stuff. Yeah.